Let's go ahead and get it started. All right. Would everyone agree that if there's one thing that's abundantly clear, that we're at war? That the America that we grew up in is not the America of today? We are definitely fighting for the heart and soul of America. And our battle is on many fronts. It's not just politically, it's spiritually, and it's cultural. So how do we fix it? Well, you being here, eager to learn about how to reach out and communicate with others is a great first step, because just being involved makes the difference. So we're going to learn about what being a Republican is and what it means, and we're going to learn about what a precinct is and why a precinct is so important. We keep hearing the word precinct. It's like, what exactly is that? Well, she's going to tell you. So we're going to start with the Tulsa County Republican leadership, and that's in the organization. So as you know, I am the chair, and you can read in there my statement. Well, I guess I have to read it for people that don't have this. So I say, I am honored to serve as your Tulsa County Republican Party chair for the next 2 years. As your chair, it is my responsibility to work to fulfill our mission of promoting and supporting Republican principles, values, candidates, and elected officials in Tulsa County. It is also my responsibility to provide you with the tools necessary to achieve the goals of our mission. Together, we can move mountains. So, the way that our county is organized is you have a county chairman, and then you have committees. You've got the state committee, which is made up of Dr. Paula Price and Bob Jack. You also have the district committee, which is made up of Idris Shelby and Lori Gracey. And then there's myself and the vice chairman. Those 6 make up the central meeting, the central committee. And then the central committee also is part of the executive committee. So I'm going to introduce you to our, maybe. Okay. So these are our leaders in the Tulsa County Republican Party. Of course, you see me seated, and then there's Rebecca Jimerson, who's the vice chair. She is seated next to me. And going from left to right is Charity Marcus. Now, Charity Marcus was not elected to her position. She is the chairman for the Young Republicans. But I did ask her to sit in with us on this because of her valuable input and because we want to really make sure that we see the Young Republicans grow. I'm not taking questions, Bill. Sure. So you've got Charity, and then next to it you've got Lori, and Lori's here, and then Bob Jack, and then Idris. I saw Idris. Where's Idris? All right, Idris is right here. Idris is here, and then Dr. Paula Price. And so we make up the leadership team of Tulsa County. Thanks. All right. So what we believe as Republicans, we show about 15 different values and principles within the party. We have that the proper role of government, the primary role of government is to protect the rights of we the people, and that government is closest to the people, governs best, and is most responsible for protecting these rights. All politics is local. Anybody disagree with that one? No. Faith, the right to worship as we please without government intrusion or interference is our inalienable right. So you can go ahead and you can look through this, but this will give you some of it. We don't have to agree on every single one of these. So, Ronald Reagan used the 80-20 rule. Let's agree, if we can, we will likely agree with about 80%, and then the 20% that we don't agree on, we need to put that aside, because we're never going to achieve anything if all we focus on are the things that we don't agree on and we don't work towards a common goal. And so I would encourage you, especially those that are new to the party, when it comes to political elections and stuff, they get very emotional and stuff. But in the end, we're all on the same team. And that's what we have to remember. So once we get out of primaries, whoever our candidate is who we have to get behind. Whether he or she was our candidate or not, we have to do that to bring them across the finish line. So if we can use the 80-20 rule, I promise you, we agree with about 80% of together. Put the 20% aside. We don't focus on that. We focus on what we agree on. So, let's make America great again. All right? Let's carry on the work. We have a plan. We have a plan. And the key to the key to success is you. It's everybody's involvement. And if I told you right now that we could flip the school board at Tulsa Public Schools, and we can flip the Tulsa City Council next year, would you believe me? Because we can make it happen. Is it going to be easy? It's not. It's not going to be easy. But nothing worth having is rarely easy. So I go to this. I love my Thomas Paine quote. So I'm going to bring it. I'm going to read it. It's on the back of our brochure. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of his country. But he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered. Yet we have this consolation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. What we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only that gives everything its value. Heaven knows how to put a proper price upon its goods, and it would be strange indeed if so celestial an article as freedom should not be highly rated. We can make this happen, guys. We can make this happen. We're organized. We have leadership. We need you because we're stronger together. Okay, now we're talking about the power of the precincts. Abraham Lincoln understood the power of organizing in precincts, and that identifying voters is key to being able to deliver victorious results in any election, as is making certain that they get out to vote on election day. So Abraham Lincoln said, in a letter to a friend, says the whole state must be so well organized that every Whig can be brought to the polls. So divide the country into small districts and appoint in each a committee. Make a perfect list of the voters and ascertain with certainty for whom they will vote. Keep a constant watch on the doubtful voters and have them talked to by those in whom they have the most confidence. On election day, see that every Whig is brought to the table. That's our responsibility as precinct chairman and as volunteers, is that we make sure that we know who our voters are in our precinct, we know how they're going to vote, and we make sure that they get to the polls on the day of election. So what is a precinct? The precinct is the smallest political unit in a state, a neighborhood of neighborhoods, a political unit closest to the people. And it's the ultimate authority of the GOP. And it's like it's a basic building block for all political districts. Each piece in a puzzle, each political district is a puzzle, and the precincts are arranged differently for each district, and we're going to show you how that is. So our mission and goals of the precinct is, simply put, the purpose of the precinct committee is to provide boots on the ground for the Republican Party. The precinct committee allows the Republican Party to reach and connect with the community. You're welcome to come on in. It's like church. If you get here late, you gotta sit up front, bud. So the way that we're organized to win, of course, is the way that our precincts are set up. You've got the county chairman is over the county, but then there's the precinct chair. And from the precinct chair, you've got a vice chair, and you have a secretary and treasurer, or you can combine the two to make it one office. So we all play a role in precinct participation. And while we have precinct organization, it is not necessary that you be a precinct leader or chair to be part of the team, because our message is going to be united, and it must be the same so that we can accomplish the goals that we set out to do. So this is one of the reasons why we took our time in putting this together, so that we could determine what the unified message was going to be, and came up with a game plan on how we were going to do it. Because had we done precinct training and told you about what precincts were all about 2 months ago, everybody would have gone off with a different message. We're all going off with the same message now. So, our goals and objectives. Our first goal from now until the 1st of December is to get to know our fellow Republicans within our own precincts. Excuse me. So we're going to develop a precinct network that allows influence of local, state, and national elections. We're going to recruit and develop potential candidates that support the county platform, and attend county, state, and district conventions as a delegate in an effort to influence outcomes that reflect the views of the county. So when I said that our first goal is going to be from now until the 1st of December, we're going to focus on our own precincts. We're going to practice. You're going to talk to people. You've got stuff to give them. You've got the Constitution to give them. And you'll notice when we move into the voter gravity, we're going to be asking the same questions and gathering the same information. And then after December, we focus all of us, we focus all of our attention on the 2 school board seats in Tulsa Public Schools. Okay, and any of the other surrounding areas that does not have a Republican that we need to flip that seat, we'll focus on that as well. But I believe that if we can make a difference, if we can do this in Tulsa Public Schools, it will send a ripple effect not only across Tulsa County, but across the state. Because right now we have one Republican. It's a 7-seat board. We have one Republican, and we have one Democrat that should be a Republican, Miss Janetta. And she's an amazing woman. If we can take those 2 seats, that'll give us 4 of 7, or at worst, it'll be 3-3, and Janetta can be the tiebreaker. But we have an opportunity, and we can do it. As you know, your school board elections, as well as oftentimes city council elections, is low voter turnout. Yeah. So it's all about getting out the vote, and and we get out the vote by we build those relationships, and we're going to all go. The party is going to get behind a candidate in each race. And there will be a process for us to determine which candidate that is. So that way, if we stay focused, because if we get 5 people in the race, all it does is muddy the waters. And I'm not trying to keep anybody out of running for office. That's not my goal. But my goal is to find the best person that I think is the most viable candidate for us to be able to get across the finish line to take that school board back. Once we're done with that, those elections occur the middle of February. Once we're done with that, then we're going to start focusing on other elections because there'll be other things going on. And then in Tulsa, the city council, all 9 seats are up for re-election. We have 3 Republicans. If we took 2 seats, we could have 5. But if we took 3 seats, we could have 6. And there are some, we can make that happen too, because the crazy thing about the city council races in Tulsa, and I'm jumping ahead of myself, but the things about the Tulsa is that their primary is actually when the runoff is from the primary for the state, okay? So it's in August. Now tell me, who thinks about getting out and voting in August? It's a low voter turnout. We can do this. We can take both of these, we can flip Tulsa County. So our objectives, of course, we're doing our training. We're becoming more familiar with voter gravity, and by remaining laser focused on our goals and recruiting others, we can make a difference in Tulsa County. So we have an interview, we're putting together a committee to interview candidates that want to run for the school board, and we're going to allow that committee, of which I do not plan on being a part of, we're going to allow them to make the determination as to who's going to be the most viable candidate for us to get behind. And then we will focus our efforts on working the precincts of the school board districts and getting to know the voters, sharing the importance of school board races, and to encourage them to turn out for the election. You know, I think if you walked up to almost anybody in Tulsa that has kids in Tulsa public schools and you said, you know what's keeping you from getting rid of your superintendent is your school board. Yeah. If we can flip the school board, we can get rid of the superintendent. So, precinct meetings. Everybody wants to know about precinct meetings. There's 2 different kinds. There are official precinct meetings, and those are the precinct meetings that I call. So they're required. They're called by the chairman, and they're held according to party rules. So, and if you go on, I believe it's on our website, you can see the Oklahoma party rules. Tulsa does not have party rules, but Oklahoma does. So go to the state and you can find the party rules tell you what's required. Only during those meetings that have been called by the chairman that are official can official party business be conducted. So you can have all the precinct meetings you want between now and whenever I call a precinct meeting, but you cannot conduct any official business. So you can, these are mostly held for networking and getting to know people, becoming acquainted, and building relationships. And really, that's where the fun happens. This is when you have your meet and greets. This is when you get out and you get to start talking to your neighbors. That's kind of become a thing of the past. So we're going to work at taking back our communities. And we're going to take them back 1 block at a time. We're going to organize politically, block by block in your precinct. We're going to cultivate community in the neighborhoods, and we're going to promote American values everywhere you go. And I'm going to tell you, and Lori's going to do the voter gravity. But even with this voter gravity app, or it's not even an app, but she'll explain it. If you're talking to somebody in the grocery store, at the grocery store, you can pull them up and you can start adding stuff to you can talk to them and you can start adding stuff into their profile. So some of the information that we're looking for is, of course, email addresses and phone numbers. But also, if you talk to somebody and you're like, hey, I just got my concealed carry, or I just bought a new gun, you can go in there and you can go, okay, this person is a Second Amendment supporter. So now we have that information. So if somebody else comes up and goes and knocks on their door, they're going to see in their profile, hey, this person's a Second Amendment supporter, or they're a pro-life person, or whatever issue it is that you might know about. But I'm getting ahead of me, and I'm stealing Lori's thunder. So for recruiting active precinct members, ideas that you can do for your precinct, you can have voter registration drives. We can talk to people and see if they're registered. We can, and that's why we have voter registrations in your packet. If you're out knocking doors and you find out that their son or daughter just turned 18, or they're going to turn 18 in the next few months, then you can have them fill out a voter registration form. Let's say somebody just moved. You can give them a voter registration form. So we're going to kind of provide information for them, and we're going to make them a little more comfortable with the party. So we can canvass. We can hold meet and greets. Oklahoma City, when we went to the training, the precinct training in Oklahoma City, one of the suggestions that they made is maybe make your initial thing, create a meet and greet. Maybe there's a park in your neighborhood. You don't necessarily want to invite people into your home, but you can create a little come and go kind of thing at the park in your neighborhood and invite people to attend that. So there's a lot of different opportunities that you have to be able to reach out and keep it within your community, because your precinct is really just your neighborhood. And then, of course, it's our responsibility to make sure we get out the vote. So we've got to make sure that we contact these people. Like I said earlier, we have to know who they are. We need to know where they are. We need to know how they're going to vote, and then we need to encourage them to get out and vote. So we encourage you to join our winning team. We're going to recruit active Republicans. We're going to register voters. We're going to canvass neighborhoods. We're going to have fun meet and greets, and we're going to promote American values. So what is our ultimate goal? Our ultimate goal is to restore America to the constitutional principles and governance that has made it the greatest nation on earth. And we begin by doing that in our own backyard. We take control of the school boards and the city councils. So, what strategies are needed to achieve these objectives? How do we build Republican precinct participation? We get out and we meet our neighbors. They need to know that they're not alone. They know, everybody, I think, right now, and it's kind of like back around 2008, 2009, everybody had that pit in their stomach. Remember, George Bush had just given away, that had just done the TARP. Obama had gotten elected. I mean, we just thought, the world was going to come to an end, but we didn't know if we were the only ones that felt that way. We're not. There are a lot of people out there that feel very uncomfortable and know that something isn't right. They just can't put their finger on it. And we can help them with that. There are more of us out there than there are the other side. We saw that in the election. Trump in Oklahoma, 63% of the vote. So, but people need to know. You wanted to know. At one time, you didn't know what to do to get involved. And so you jumped in and you did it. And so now it's up to us to help lead other people to do the same. And also, when you're out and you're getting to know your neighbors, you might actually find a candidate that is really good that you think should run for office. This is how we find people, is by getting out and beating the bushes. So, what tactics are necessary to accomplish our strategies? It's my Marco Rubio moment. Sorry. Okay. We need to identify active voters in the precinct. We need to invite these voters to come to our precinct meetings. And we need to activate the precinct members to contact and invite their neighbors, like-minded individuals, to precinct meetings, and then we get them to turn out on election day. It's all about building relationships. So we must win seats at all levels across the county and beyond. And I've already talked to you about I told you all 9 of the city council seats are up for re-election. And TPS school board elections, there are 2 available, 2 not open seats, but 2 people up for re-election. So we can't take these elections for granted. And we can't just assume that because we have a majority of Republicans in our precinct or in our county that we're going to win, because that's not the way it works. Democrats cheat, plain and simple. Okay? Remember, this is war. Okay? And it can't be one sitting on the couch yelling at your TV. It's going to take every one of us and more to win back the heart and soul of America. So, what objectives will help us achieve the goals? Winning the war on America begins with the county, the state, our county. Well, I did that twice. And our county and your precinct. Organizing and activating the county is my job, okay? Organizing and activating the precinct is your job. So let's see what we can do here. Now I'm going to tell you this. Lori makes me look amazing. So she put this all together. So it starts with getting organized. So what is a precinct? Let's take a look at Tulsa County and one precinct, because this will show us how many opportunities we have to get our precinct members or people out to vote. So that was Tulsa County. Tulsa has 259 precincts, and when we take a break, we brought one of the maps to show your precinct. See if you can find your precinct in there. So we're going to take a look at Precinct 404. It's my precinct. And this is Broken Arrow. And it's in the city of Broken Arrow. And if I can brag just a little bit, it's the home of the no mask mandates. And one of the most conservative city councils now in Oklahoma. So, I'll tell you who my city councilor is here in just a second. So, Broken Arrow. Did I do something wrong, Lori? Did I put it in the wrong thing? Okay. Broken Arrow, like all cities in our county, is broken up into districts or wards. Each district or ward has a city council seat, and your precinct needs to actively elect. So you need to know who your city councilor is. I live in Ward 3, and I'm very fortunate to have the most conservative city councilor, also known as the Vice Mayor, Christy Gillespie, as my city councilor. So here are all the districts that are the precincts that are within Broken Arrow in Tulsa County. Precinct 404 in Tulsa County is also in Broken Arrow City Council Ward 3. And remember, she's the most conservative, yeah. Christy Gillespie. I'm not bragging or anything. But wait till you see who my state senator is. So, besides the city council seats, each precinct is in a particular school district as well. These are all the school districts in Tulsa County. There's quite a few of them. Our example of Precinct 404 is in the Broken Arrow School District. The school district elections are voted on by all registered voters living within the district, unless, of course, it's a school bond issue. And then everyone gets to vote, yet hardly anyone does. But we're going to change that, right? But wait, there's more. Okay, we also have county commissioner districts. My county has Tulsa County has 3 commissioner districts. And my county commissioner is Ron Peters. Does anybody know who theirs is? Everybody know who theirs is? A few of them, yeah. Tulsa County Precinct 404 is in the city of Broken Arrow, in Ward 3, and the BA School District is also in Tulsa County Commissioner District 3. So I'm in Ward 3 for the City Council, I'm in Ward 3 for the school district, and my county commissioner is District 3. I think 3 is my lucky number. What do you say? So, and those were only up to, that was only up to the county positions. So far we have, in our precinct, we have the ability to affect a school board, a city council, and a county commissioner race. And those are only the county positions. We also have state senate and house districts. Okay, so Tulsa County Precinct 404 is in BA City Ward 3, in BA School District 3. County Commissioner 3 is also in State Senate District 33. Anybody know who that is? Nathan Dahm, yeah. And in Oklahoma State House District 80. So my state rep is Stan May, and my state senator is Nathan Dahm. And then we also have, in the state of Oklahoma, we have 5 congressional districts. So we're in District 1, which is Kevin Hearn. So yes, we're very fortunate. All of Tulsa County is in Congressional District 1. We are represented by Congressman Kevin Hearn, and Oklahoma, like every state, has 2 United States senators, and I'm pretty sure you guys know who those are. The good thing is that all of this information, your precinct, county commissioner, state, senate, and house, and congressional district is conveniently provided for you on your voter registration card. How many people have your voter registration card? Pull them out. Let's take a quick look. Because all the information that I just gave you, you're going to be able to find right here. Now, I am Jane Doe, and I don't live there, and I don't vote there. However, Lori doctored it up for me. She made it work. The county is in Tulsa, you see. I've got my voter ID number, I've got my precinct number, I've got my political affiliation, and if you look down at the bottom, you see that my U.S. representative is in Congressional District 1, my Senate district is 33, my House district is 80, and my county commissioner is in District 3. Yes, you guys can you can also go to the county election website and find all this information out. And if you have some problems, you can even go to the voter portal through the state. So who knew all of that stuff when you registered to vote and you got that card? You didn't realize that everything really meant something, and it gives you a whole lot of information on that. So we have a lot of work to do and a lot of races to win. So are you ready? Yes. Are you ready to keep your focus, and let's work the plan? We'll work our precincts now, but in December we're going to focus on the 2 Tulsa school board races. And I'm going to tell you, I don't care if you live in Broken Arrow or you live in Skiatook or Berry Hill. We've all got to work together to make this happen. This is how we're going to do it. We can't allow distractions, and I call them the shiny objects on the side of the road, to distract us. We stay focused on what we're doing, and we're going to make a difference. And then we're going to turn around, we're going to do the same thing with the Tulsa City Council. So, yes, we will get behind a candidate in each race. We can flip the Tulsa School Board and the City Council. We just have to remain focused and not become distracted, because remember, we're in war. Oh, looky here, intermission. So I'm gonna make a few announcements real quick, because I want to make sure that everybody, I get this done before we take off, and then Lori's going to come up and talk to us about the voter gravity. This is change for change. All we ask is that you bring change. You can bring dollars too. I mean, we take dollars, don't get me wrong. But for us to be able to be actively involved in some of these races and to work our plan, it's going to take money. You know, we hear it takes time, treasure, and talent. So if you can't give us some time, maybe you can give us some treasure, or if you're talented, we'd love your talent too. So all we're asking is that you bring change. Just bring your change and dump it in here. We have all of the clubs in Tulsa, the Republican clubs and conservative clubs, that are in a competition to see who can raise the most money with change. Our goal is to work this until about October, and in October we have a big gala planned. And so once at the gala, we're going to be able to announce, because whatever club raises the most money is going to have bragging rights for the next year. Somebody said they need to get an award or something, and we can have an award or something, but bragging rights, I'm all about bragging rights. So any of the clubs that you attend, whether it's the women's club, it's men's club, it's Terra, it's Tulsa 912, you come into the Tulsa GOP office, bring us your change. You know where your husband sits in the recliner. There's got to be a ton of change in those cushions. So that's one of the ways that we plan on raising some money, is just change for change. You know how quick this stuff can add up. So I know that my husband and I, we don't spend our change. So we come home, we put it in a bowl. And I can cash it in every year, and I probably get about $300 or $400 that just from doing that. And so it's a great way for us to be able to raise money without it necessarily hurting someone's pocketbook. If you're not receiving Tulsa County emails, Cox.net does a great job of blocking us. And so if you have a Cox.net email address, I would suggest that you get a Gmail account. And then I get it. Or Reagan.com. I don't care. I'm just telling you that if you're not getting our emails, we are sending them out. If you have signed up, you have been added to the email list. So it could be that Cox is blocking what's going on. And then I know, Ken, you have a problem with the email that you send. He's in the list. We send it to him, but he never gets it. So it's something to do with the servers that recognize it as spam or whatever, and so it just doesn't get to you. So that's my suggestion. Get a different email address. Call the office. Let us know what it is so that we can make sure and change it in the constant contact. There are volunteer forms when you registered. I don't know if you saw the volunteer forms or not, but I would encourage you to sign up for a committee. We need everybody. We need everybody on board. We've got lots of things going on. We've got the state fair. Glenda, where'd Glenda go? There she is. Glenda will be in the back, and she is looking for volunteers for state fair. The state fair is September 30th to October the 10th. So it's 11 days of a lot of fun. And if we could get you to volunteer for at least one shift, it would be greatly appreciated. It's September 30th through Glenda, sign-up sheets are on the registration table. Okay. Also, if you haven't registered for the raffle, you can do that at the registration table as well. And then the subject of orphaned precincts. Orphaned precinct is a precinct without a chair or a vice chair. The process is going to be this. If you are interested in being a chair, we just give us your contact information. I have to, we'll talk, we'll have a conversation, but I have to present these names to the executive committee for approval. I can't just sign off and say, oh yeah, you can be a precinct chair. So it has to go before the executive board. So if you're interested after this, if you know, because I know I've had a lot of people that have reached out to me and said, I don't have a precinct chair, I want to be that precinct chair. And I appreciate that. However, there's a process I have to go through. Yes, ma'am. Perfect. Perfect. So Janita's already got your information. So just come back. She can put a star next to your name or whatever she chooses to do to identify it, and then we can start. My executive meetings are at the end of the month, the fourth Monday of the month. So we can get some in for the month of July if anybody is interested. So without any more, or unless, I tell you what, just real quick, does anybody have any questions over the stuff that we went over? Yes, Larry. Hang on, they're gonna want this to be recorded.
I really appreciate you focusing on city council and school board races. And since you've spent quite a bit of time on that and really focusing people on that, I think it's important to mention to people, and you don't have time here to go through every school district and every city in the county explaining how this works. But people need to understand to research in their school district and in their city specifically which voting district elects the school board member from their ward, or which voting area elects their city council members, because school districts smaller than 10,000, the people elect their school board members generally district-wide, like everybody in the district elects. But in large districts, now Jinx is over 10,000, for example, Tulsa's over 10,000, I'm sure Broken Arrow is over 10,000. Okay, in those districts, only the voters in the ward vote for the school board member. And so this is crucial if you're planning to campaign, to work. You don't want to be out, campaigning, putting up yard signs in the wrong wards and so forth. And the same thing with city council districts. Some cities, the councilors are elected citywide. In some districts, like areas like Tulsa, big cities, they're elected only from within their district.
That's good information. Yes, sir.
I guess I just want to emphasize the one Republican that we have on the Tulsa County School Board won by 30 votes. Was that about right? Much, yeah. Okay. And my precinct chairman came to me and said, we think this guy's got a shot. And I gave him a healthy donation, and we worked a little bit for it. And voila, 30 votes was all it took. Yep. And I'd like to think I had something to do with it, but the point is you never know where your effort will have the greatest impact. So some of these elections are going to be very close because it's amazing how many people don't turn out.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
The term ward is new to me. Can you give me, I'm interested in precinct, but now I'm hearing ward, district, and I'm not sure what levels we go through.
All right. It kind of depends on where you live. In Broken Arrow, where I am, we have wards. And so my city council and my school board are in wards. But in Tulsa, they're districts. And so it's just the next step, when we start with the precinct, which is the smallest part, and then you go to the next, which is going to be your school board. It's going to cover a little bit less area. I mean, it's going to cover more than just your precinct. And then your city council will cover a little bit more than that, perhaps. And then we start moving into the county, which is divided into 3 districts. So I think it's just, you can kind of swap the 2 words back and forth between ward and district, because it's gonna be one or the other. Say again?
My follow-up on that.
Yes.
Will the county help us determine who the right people are, even though we're in little wards?
Sure. No, I mean, our plan right now, listen, my focus is Tulsa, because I think, and I want to, and there's going to be other areas. But like I said, city council, all the city council races in the outlying areas of Tulsa were done this year. The only one next year is Tulsa County. So we can focus on that. School boards, there's two seats available in Tulsa, which it's usually just one, that doesn't usually run that way. Because those seats are usually 4 and 5 years terms. Now I lost my train of thought. So we've got 2. So in all the outlying areas, if you look, the majority of the people that are up for re-election are Republicans. So I'm not looking to take on Republicans. I'm looking to take out Democrats. So yes, if there's a Republican running in that race, I do not want to even look at other candidates, because I can work with a Republican that's more moderate and help bring them more to the right, but I can't work with a Democrat because they're not going to work with me. I mean, I'd be happy to work with them, but they won't work with me. So,
Ronda, you might tell them, we've got a precinct list of every precinct in Tulsa County and all the offices that you vote for. So give us a call at the office or come by Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
And we're soon going to be open on Fridays as well. What? Terry's like, oh.
So question on maps of precincts whenever we want to go door knock, because we don't want to just hit Republicans. We want to hit Democrats that are Republicans in sheep's clothing. Right. I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, I have friends that are on that side of the aisle. They're truly a Republican. They're truly conservative. They're choosing a party because of, stuff that they've been told. So I know at this point we may not want to hit those, but ultimately we want to convert some of those Democrats who are truly conservatives to the Republican Party. And so is there a place that we can get a granular precinct map so when we're visiting our district we can do that? And then the other question is, if we want to print business cards with the GOP, where can we get the GIF files to use to do that?
Okay, what we're going to, as far as trying to reach out to anybody but Republicans, let's reach the Republicans first. Because we have a hard enough time. If all the Republicans would get out and vote, we wouldn't have the problem that we have right now. So our focus is predominantly that. Now, what we need to do is also work on getting Democrats switched over to becoming Republicans. Many Democrats don't realize that they're Republicans, and that's the purpose of this. And sharing this, Bill, I'm going to get to you. Sharing this with them and then giving them the 80%. Look, we don't have to agree on 100%. We don't, but if you're conservative in thought and mind, then how about changing your party affiliation? And that's when the voter registration forms come in handy. And actually, I think that there needs to be a celebration. When we can get a Democrat to change to a Republican, there needs to be some bell that we can, go, yes, and throw them a party, welcome to the party. So, and then as far as business cards, yes, you can. I can send, if anybody's interested, I'll send you a logo. The only thing I ask is just, don't modify it. Just put your name and as a precinct official, and then whatever you want to do. And you can create whatever title, just, like king or queen. Right, and that's the square, these cards that we, did you get a packet? What did I do with that card? Okay, that's what this is for too. Okay, that's what this is for too. And then on the back, and I would encourage everybody, if you go through Vistaprint, they will create a QR code that you can put on the cards, have it go to the GOP website, because that's where they're going to be able to get the information, get our information that way.
Well, my husband does that, so that's why I was asking if I can get the gifts of that to put on the card with some of the principles to hand out in my neighborhood.
Yes, but that's why we want you handing. Did you not get a packet? You did. Okay, that's why we want you when you hand stuff out. We want you to hand out the what about being a Republican. Feel free to give out a Constitution. And then the little cards or whatever. I didn't tell you about what we weren't able to complete, but we will, and we will send it to you via digital format. This is a list of all, and we're going to do it by precinct, where when you're out walking, you're going to be able to hand this to somebody, and it's going to give them all of their elected officials' phone numbers that they need. And it starts with the school board at the top, and it ends with the senators, the U.S. senators at the bottom.
How about we put cards on the website that they can download?
Okay. Okay, Joseph is our website guy, so he'll put something up on the website that you'll be able to go and get and make some cards. So we will have this for every precinct for you to make copies of, to hand out.
I would highly recommend that you volunteer to work the fair, because that's where we're going to have so many people, especially this fair this year, are going to change from Democrat to Republican. It's amazing how many people did it 2 years ago. And it was so rewarding to actually witness that. And people that had never voted before, or lifelong Democrats. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yep, thank you.
Excuse me.
Rhonda, do you still have a list of all the people that are Republicans in every precinct? We used a list to call.
Okay, no. In voter gravity, we're going to go through all of that. That's
Okay.
where all of our precinct information and our walk list will be found, is in voter gravity. Okay, we've got a couple more, and then let's wrap it up for intermission.
Hey, Rhonda.
Okay.
Can't touch the mic. Hey, this lady asked about the maps for the precincts. Did you want to go into that a little bit further? Or?
Well, that's going to go through in voter gravity. That's what we're going to do in voter gravity. Real quick, and then we're going to wrap up. The state fair, I was asked to remind of the dates of the state fair, is September 30th through October the 10th. And of course, we will need help in setting up and tearing down as well. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Terry Vivian from Precinct 109, District 9.
Thank you.
And I know we passed a rule that anyone running for office has to fill out that survey of what they stand for, even though the Republicans that we do have in the town hall, some of them didn't fill out. Like the guy from my district did not. When I visited with him, he wouldn't tell me what his beliefs were. But now, can we, even if he's in office, can we make sure that he tells us what his beliefs are?
You can ask him. You can't make anybody do anything. I mean, and neither can I. I didn't.
Sad is you don't want to change. You say we're not going to go after the Republicans that are in office. Mm-hmm. We're going to keep them. But what happens if they could possibly be a rhino?
Okay. Let me just explain to you the way the party works. As the Tulsa County Republican Party, I do not, and the party does not get involved in primaries. Okay? We can, the races we can get involved in are the municipal races. And that's our city council and our school boards. That's my focus. My focus is to take care of Tulsa County and to flip the school boards and the city council. That's my focus. I'm not gonna get involved in any primaries. I'm not picking sides or anything like that. My responsibility and my role as the chairman is to stay neutral in all of those things. So if you want to push for him to or her to fill out, to go through the platform or through the principles and what do you agree on and what do you not agree on, that's fine. But that's not necessarily my role right now. My role is city council and school boards.
I'd like to second what Tanya said about the Tulsa State Fair. I've worked there for a few years, and it's really a lot of fun. And I was amazed at how many people came and either switched their registration from Democrat to Republican, or younger people, and some even older people who'd never voted in their life, and some were just because they were not old enough yet. But to help sort of guide them filling out their registration. And they were a little bit hesitant, the younger people, but just kind of, encourage them and all. And then so many people were just excited to come into our booth. I mean, for every one person who might say something negative, there'd be 99 of the opposite. So you don't have to be afraid or anything. It's a lot of fun.
It is
and
a
I
lot of fun.
encourage people to volunteer there.
I appreciate that.
We need the help.
I appreciate that. Okay, one last, sorry, and then Mike,
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's all right. Mike, go ahead. Well,
I don't even know if I need a microphone. Can
yeah,
everyone
you
hear
do
me?
for
Or do I? Okay.
recording purposes.
I don't want to. That's fine. Hey, in order to keep the momentum going, should we get the precinct chairs together on somewhat regular basis? Find out what's not working, what is working,
Sure.
how they're doing on this.
We are in the process of planning a monthly Tulsa County GOP meeting. We're planning on it being on a Saturday morning once a month, so that we can get together, we can get some additional training, we can exchange ideas, and we can hear from our elected officials or whoever the speaker is that we decide to do. If anybody has any ideas on where we can meet on a Saturday morning, and then I'm all for that. But I figure it'll probably be 60 to 100 people that will be attending, and I would expect that it would grow pretty quick, because we're going to encourage not just the precinct chairs, but we're going to encourage all Republicans to attend.
People have been making suggestions about getting people registered, 2 or 3 people at the fair and so forth. And one big opportunity I think we're missing out on is at your church. If you're a Christian and you go to a Christian church, I was amazed. My church lets me register people at my church, and it's just amazing how many people are not registered to vote. And what you find is that if you go to a church, a real Christian church, the vast majority of people who will register Republican. And so it's amazing how many people were not registered at my church, which is really fundamental and speaks out.
Yeah.
And so make sure that somebody in your church is registering people to vote.
Well, here's a fun fact. 50% of Christians are not registered to vote. Of the 50% that are registered, less than 50% get out and vote. We have the power to change the direction that this is going. Just like I said, we can't do it just sitting on our couch and yelling at our TV. We have to actually get out and be boots on the ground. So since we have no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and take a 15-minute break. The bathrooms are right outside the door, and the cafe is open, and they still have coffee and water and donuts.
Before we get into the voter gravity, I want to just very quickly go through a little bit in your handbook so you're just familiar with it. Put a lot of effort into the handbook, and there's a lot of good resource material in there. I know that we didn't go page by page in the morning presentation. I don't like story time. I don't like to be read to. And this is going to go home with you. That's why we tried to supplement with some of the things on the slides. But in the manual, you've got a good table of contents in the front to find where things are. We've got a quick start guide for those of you who are already kind of knowledgeable about the roles of precinct chair, precinct vice chair, that kind of thing. And so the quick start will point you more to where to dig into the nuts and bolts and start getting out, boots on the ground, doing the job. We have on page 8, you have the statement from Ronda that she had read earlier, her message to you as your precinct or as your county chairman. We have information on the structure of the party on the next page that goes through the structure of the state party, the structure of the county parties. And even if you're not in Tulsa County, this is basically the way that everything is set up in all of our counties here in Oklahoma, just to give you a little bit of a familiarity. We did some of this. I know it's old hat to a lot of you, but a lot of us are new. A lot of us have come to the party new, and we want to know how things work. And so that's why this is just a good primer. Tried to write it so it won't put you completely to sleep, but no promises. But if you want to know how things are structured, how they work, why they work, the fact that we have rules that we have to follow. We can't just make things up as we go along. We can't change the rules willy-nilly. These things are required by the Republican Party nationally at the state level, and so we have guidelines that we do have to follow. Over on page 10, you've got the picture of your committee, your central committee, so you know who's who. If you're like me, I need a face to go with those names so that I remember folks. So hopefully that is something helpful for you. There's contact information on page 11. We have these little icons with all the different social media, different contact stuff. So you have the office address for does everybody know where the GOP office is here in Tulsa? Okay. Probably everybody does. If you don't, this is the address. It's over basically on Skelly on 51st Street, just west of Harvard. But that'll give you the address, the website, the email, and even the Twitter handle and Facebook page if you're still doing those things. South side of I-44 is where the building's at. Then we go into the Republican principles. Did you like the brochure, the gray brochure that we put in your packets? Like that? We hope that that's going to be a good tool for you to use when you're going door to door. When you're talking to people and helping them understand, you've always been registered a Democrat. Maybe you've always been registered an independent, whatever. Maybe you've never been registered and you wonder what party you belong to. Those are American values that we've listed in there. And those are also the values of the Republican Party. They are certainly the values of the Republican Party in Tulsa County. And so we hope that will be useful to you to help explain to people why it is that you chose to be a Republican, what it means. And then we have those summarized for you here on page 12 of the booklet as well. So you've got that. If you need to, if you run out of the brochures that we've given you, those gray brochures, you can always just shoot a copy of this and hand those out to your friends and neighbors, especially at those meet and greets. I think that would be really good. There's a little paragraph in here on democracy versus republic. Because civics are not being taught, civics as a subject is not really being taught in our schools like they should. People go, but aren't we a democracy? Well, we vote democratically, but we are a constitutional republic. We are governed by rule of law, not rule of willy-nilly ideas of men. And where Ronda was saying that on these the 15 values that we stated, that we can agree on 80% and disagree on 20%, no problem. When it comes to the Constitution, we don't get to choose. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and that's what governs us. It is the authority in our nation. And so that's something that we need to be in agreement on, and that tells us that we are not a pure democracy. We are a representative democracy. We vote people in to represent us in offices in D.C., here in the state, and elsewhere. And then we have the quote from Abraham Lincoln talking about the importance of the precinct. Isn't that fascinating? He didn't use the word precinct, but isn't it fascinating that this whole concept of precinct goes back that far? And it really does come down to where are the boots going to be on the ground. They're going to be boots on the ground in your precinct. So there's some of the other information that Ronda went through on the mission and values. We have the organization charts in there for you. I'm a flowchart nerd, so I love those kinds of things. Then we go into the roles of the different people in your precinct committee. So the role of the chairman, the role of the vice chair, the role of the secretary and or treasurer, that particular role can be combined. And again, this is probably old hat. I'm looking at Peggy Burgess up here, and she knows this stuff. She can come up here and teach this class. But when it comes to the rest of us, I know when I got involved, I'm like, precinct? Well, okay, I know I vote in my precinct, but that was kind of the extent of my knowledge. And so I wanted to be able to provide that detailed information to you that isn't always easily found. Skipping ahead, let's see, we got treasurer. On page 21 here, we talk about the different meetings, the official and general meetings. I tell you, somebody in this room that is just fantastic at having unofficial, general, let's get together and talk about the issues, the candidates and everything in our precinct, and he invites other surrounding precincts to come join his meetings, is Larry Williamson. Larry is phenomenal at activating his precinct. Seriously, give him a hand. I tell him he's my hero. He really is, because Larry takes it serious, just as each one of us should, that if we take it serious, that these precincts are where we meet people and we get people activated. If we all do that, what did Ronda say, 259 precincts across Tulsa County, if every precinct were activated, think of the power that we would be able to wield. And let me tell you how easy it is. We're going to get into voter gravity here pretty quick. It's a groovy little, I'm trying to bring that word back. It's a groovy little tool that we can use to capture information and to make contact with our neighbors, find out where they are and help get them involved. But this is how easy it is. David and I were out on the patio one night, and my dog is the social butterfly of the neighborhood. Everybody knows my dog. So some neighbors stopped by at the fence because they were out with their grandbaby, and the dog ran down to the fence to say hello to the grandbaby and everybody. So David and I walked down. We're chatting with the neighbors. One of them says, the husband says, "Really like that flag you've got in your garage window." And it's my Trump 2020 flag. Now, I had never discussed politics with these neighbors. We've lived across the street from each other for, I think, 15 years now. And we've never talked politics. It just never has come up. Found out they're registered Republicans. Guess who I'm going to invite to my precinct meeting? Guess who I can comfortably now talk politics with and talk about issues and talk about candidates and get involved. And you know what? It's some of the ladies remember the old Fabergé organic commercial where you tell two friends and they tell two friends and so on and so on and so on and so on. Pretty soon we start replicating ourselves. We start getting more people involved. And so that was an eye-opener, and that's really going to be the purpose of our conversation, this first survey in voter gravity, is just for you to go out and talk to people who are registered Republicans to get acquainted so that they are interested in coming to your meeting, your meet and greet at the park or whatever it might be. It's just to get acquainted. It's not asking them for anything. You're not selling them anything. It's just, hey, hi, we're on the same page. Let's chat. And it was easy enough to do that down at the fence with our neighbors from across the street. I think that we can do that at people's doors as well. And I'll tell you one more story of somebody who got involved that had not been involved, was kind of sitting, maybe yelling at the TV, Amy, I don't know. But Amy is now my secretary treasurer in my precinct. She had gotten disgruntled, like so many of us, with the election that was stolen this last year, right? And it's like, well, I talk about it, and I don't like what happened, but other than voting, what am I doing about it? And so Amy stepped up, came to our county convention, and I know the county convention was a little bit of a roller coaster. It was a little rough at points in time. But Amy stuck it out. We sat there with our little precinct meeting, and lo and behold, she walked out, and it's like, I went to my first meeting, and I came out as secretary of the precinct. How did that happen? But you know what? Amy then talked to her sister, and now her sister's involved. And that's the kind of involvement that I'm talking about, is that you step up, you get involved. We're trying to make it as simple and easy and straightforward as possible. And then your influence influences others to do the same thing and get involved. So all that to say, have these general meetings. Have an ice cream social. Remember ice cream socials? Yes. Remember those things? Remember potlucks? Growing up, and when I was a kid, our whole neighborhood, all summer long, all the ladies on the block would turn out every night with dessert, and we'd all get together and sit around and talk, and the kids would play kick the can until the sun practically came up. So that's the kind of thing we're talking about. Get acquainted, be neighborly, find out who your folks are. Throughout the rest of the package, there's some information on canvassing methods. We have some ideas on phone banking, which we're not going to be doing quite yet. We have some scripts. If you're not quite sure what to say, there's some suggested scripts in there. Voter Gravity is going to have some of that for us as well. There's ideas on how to energize your precinct, holding the meet and greets. If you flip over to got something on the screen here. If we flip over to page 27 in the book, there's some good website links in there for you. And I think, are we going to provide this electronically?
Yes, we can provide this electronically to everybody. I printed out 150 copies, but I needed it to be just for precinct chairs.
Yes.
So we can send it out to you digitally, just send it.
These things cost money to print, so we're just trying to be good stewards of the funds that we have in the county and printed 150 out for today, but we'll provide this to you electronically, and then all of these links are clickable. I love clickability. Is that a term? It is now. But there's information, there's links in here to Oklahoma's election voter information site. There's links in here for sample ballots. It's good to have your sample ballot ahead of time. I always print mine out ahead of time and print one out for my mother who's still able to get out and vote so that she can take that and know who to vote and how to vote and when she gets in there so you don't get tongue-tied and twisted and end up going, I didn't mean to mark that one. What do I do now? So there's links to the Oklahoma State GOP in there, all these different things. And then there's a checklist on pages 28 and 29, precinct checklist of the different things that we as precinct leaders want to be mindful of and check off that we're doing. So as you get organized, as you plan your role, your interaction with your precinct, glance at those 2 pages to see if you know what action items you might want to step up and take care of. I need another hand. That brings us to voter gravity. We'll get into that in just one second, but I just wanted to finish out on page 31. Actually, on 30 and 31, there are more important documents. We have links to the to the U.S. Constitution, all of our founding documents, to the state constitution, that behemoth of a document, good doorstop, actually. The Oklahoma party rules. Ronda mentioned these earlier. The state rules for the party. I've heard people ask Ron, well, just because we've done it that way doesn't mean that we should. Let's just change the rule. You know what? She can't. There are rules that we have to play by. There's an order. There's a structure that's been in existence for some time. And so we need to be familiar with the rules. Are you going to memorize them all? Lord bless you if you can. I do not have them all memorized. We have links here to the party platform as well for the state and to our Tulsa County platform, voter registration links, and then even links for the various conservative organizations that Rhonda mentioned that are competing with our Change for Change. We have some great organizations in this county and in the surrounding counties, and I encourage you, plan to start attending the Saturday GOP meetings that we're going to start having, but also find another organization. The Republican Women's Club meets regularly. The Tulsa Men's Republican Group meets regularly. Pardon me? I didn't have that on here? Oh my gosh. Okay, I've got the national ones. I'm sorry. We've got the national ones on here, but locally they're pretty easy to find. Find your different local organizations. Yeah, Terry?
Tell Alina as well. Alina has a link. Tell them where the link is.
Alina, what's your link?
For the groups.
The calendar.
Conservative organizations, the calendar.
So it's a team up calendar. It's on Facebook, and so you need to go to.
I failed to put that one in here. We'll try to add that in. There is a calendar that Alina has put together of all the conservative organizations in Tulsa County, when they meet, where they meet, and so you can just check that calendar and see what's going on that week and click in there. These organizations, I got ahead of myself, these organizations I have listed here are more national ones that also provide really good information and training and insight on issues and legislation, candidates. So some good information for you there, because I know I'm always like, where do I go to find out the facts on something? There's a glossary of terms in there if that's of help and use. I know sometimes coming into a new company, a new organization, it's like, okay, your acronyms don't mean what the acronyms used to mean, or you use terms that I'm not familiar with. So we put a small glossary in there. And then this back page I think will be one that'll be useful for you too. That's pretty much a summary of all the different links and information places you need to go to, the county, the state, just a real quick one-stop shop for you to get all of your not everything, but most of your contact information. So I hope that this is useful for you. It's something we hope that will be useful not just today in the class, the session that we're doing here, but going on down the line. Now that said, we're going to get into our voter gravity stuff. We do not have the voter gravity details in here at this point in time. We are going to send those to you. If you signed up today and we have your email list, we will send you the voter gravity summary of these slides so that you'll have that information. How many of you received your voter gravity login email? Okay, how many of you have logged into Voter Gravity? Okay. If you want to follow along today, we're going to be going through Voter Gravity, and I'll be pulling that up. I have screenshots of what we'll be looking at. But Voter Gravity is going to be the tool that we really use to help you make contact in your precinct, to know which doors to knock, what folks to talk to, who you're speaking with. But it will also, in real time, capture information from the people that you talk to, and that will be loaded up into the database for Tulsa County. The data that you capture through Tulsa or through Voter Gravity is for Tulsa County's database. It's not going to the state, and it's not going to the National Republican Party. It is for our purposes here in Tulsa County. We want to know our people. We want to know how, who's voting what, how things are going. So I know Ronda and the team went over a lot of different options for how to do canvassing, the different technology tools that are out there, and Voter Gravity really perked to the top. When the Obama team, they were so well organized and so technologically savvy, they ran circles around the Republican Party. We have got to get on board with technology. And I love Excel, and I know a lot of you still use your Excel, and that's fine, but we need to take it beyond Excel, and this database is going to do that for us. Because through this database, we're going to be able to sort down and capture information and drill into where we need to be. And then, like I said, capturing it back into the database so that we have it for Tulsa GOP, that's going to give us great power and ability to get out the vote and affect people. So on Voter Gravity, there's a couple different websites that you want to look at. We're mainly going to go to one called VoterMobi, VOTER.MOBI. VoterMobi, that's all it is, voter.mobi, and that's where we're going to spend most of our time today. If you want basic information on Voter Gravity, just kind of get familiar with it, you can go to votergravity.com. You can also go to support.votergravity.com. Support.votergravity.com has some good videos for you, and these slides will be provided for you with all these links and stuff. So if you take a picture. That's how I do my notes anymore. I take pictures of screens, but we'll provide these to you so that you have all of those links and they'll be easily accessible. Yes, that's what was given to you in the email from Ronda. And so if you're having problems, if I had to do this last night. When you go into VoterMobi and you use your password, we're getting to that point. Well, go back. On this screen where you have the login information right here. So it would be with the email that you provided to Ronda. So that's your contact email for GOP. You would go there, and then you would set up your password for VoterMobi. And then this is what you're going to use on your phone or your tablet while you're in the field. If you're not having a problem, it's not taking your password, for some reason mine didn't take last night, go down and hit on your screen, hit the reset my password, and go through that process, and then you'll be able to get into it. I don't know if it's a glitch in the system or what, but I ended up having to do that. So when in doubt, reset your password. You should be able to get in. So once you're into VoterMobi, you're going to log into Voter Gravity with your email, with your password. Hit the login button here at the bottom. You see that red button there at the bottom. It's going to bring up this next screen, and this will show you the walk lists that have been assigned to you. So in a small precinct, you may only have, maybe half a dozen walk lists or fewer. When I was doing precincts last night, there were some precincts that, based on the sort that we did, they only came up with about 90 voters in that precinct. So probably more in the rural areas, outlying areas. There were some, like in Bixby, when I put it in there, it came up with 3,000 Republican voters. I narrowed it down for you. I didn't give you 3,000 people to contact. Now, if we want to expand that out, if you want more people, let us know. We will give you more people. We'll show you how to do that. So we can create different walk lists for different purposes. But when you get in there, you'll tap on Republican Party of Tulsa County, and that's going to bring up the walk list. We'll talk about these other buttons down here in a little while. Come on now. Crank this thing up. The walk lists assigned to you are going to display down here, and this is, for our example, we just have one walk list showing. But you'll go through there and have your walk list. Like I said, you probably will have multiple ones in your precinct. We don't have them assigned yet, and we'll have to be working with you on that. But as you get more people in your precinct that are working with you, you can potentially divide those out between, divide and conquer, and get some other folks to go out and be doing that walk list. Right now, we would really like for the precinct chairman, though, to go out and meet your folks so that they know you. They need to know you and feel comfortable contacting you. And guess what? You're going to become their newest, bestest friends when every election or political issue comes up, and your phone and your email are going to be lit up, let me tell you. But your walk list will appear there. And so when you click into your walk list, you're going to see very much like what we saw on the Frozen video. You're going to see the list of addresses over here. Now, some of us like to work from lists. I like a list. I can read through that list and see the details. Some of us are more visual, and we prefer a map, and this map will then show you how those addresses lay out. How many of you walked doors, knocked doors for candidates? Is that not a pain in the butt sometimes when they put the way that the map shows them is not the way the road really goes? There's two houses that are really close together, but they're actually backdoor neighbors, and they have a fence between them, and you got to go around in Tulsa. You got around 3 different blocks, and you got to go through street, place, avenue, circle, drive to finally get to. So the nice thing with this, where it's on the map, you can zoom into that and see exactly where you need to go to. When you click on what he was showing us, when you click on the like a circle here, in order to see the name of the person who's in that household, you would click the map list button at the bottom. On smaller screens, that may not be visible. When I was testing this on my mother's Android phone, she has a smaller screen. I'm like, oh my gosh, where'd the map button go to? Panic, right? All I had to do is drag the screen, scroll the screen, drag it down until you can see that bottom band, and then click on that, tap on it. I say click, but we're really just tapping with our finger, right? Tap on it, and it'll take you over to this screen. Pop up, there we go. Takes you over to this screen, and here what you have is the list of voters in that household. Now what this example doesn't show you is that you might have voters in that household, people who are registered, that are potentially not Republicans, but they're in that household, and they're not going to have that star next to their name. They're not going to be folks that you're wanting to contact this go around, maybe another time. But this go around, we want to talk to the Republican voters. The icon next to the individual's names will change after we do our survey and talk to them. So again, the idea, I would take, here's what I would suggest. It's nice to go out 2 by 2. One can drive, one can direct, and it's just a safety factor to go 2 by 2. Somebody else set that example for us a long time ago. He sent them out 2 by 2. So I think, he's got a good example, so we should probably follow that. Yeah, we'll go with that. But the other thing, too, is that if for some reason you're in the middle of it and things go wonky like it just did with my video, have your second person who's there with you have a pad of paper, have a clipboard to be able to write things down, because we can always load the information in through this app after the fact. But we really want to keep it going real time, because the more that we can just put it in here, one and done, tap the disposition, they answer your questions, it's immediately then sent through the cloud and uploads to the database for Tulsa GOP. And then you get home and you can go watch your movie or sit by the pool or whatever, and there's no more work for you to do. It's all done basically real time. So to see or to start the survey, you would then tap on the person's name, tap on their name, and then it's going to take you to the survey screen, and that looks like this. So the survey screen, let me get over here so I can see a little bit better. On the survey screen, it has a little brief script at the very top of it. This one says, hello, my name is, and it has part of my email. My name is, whoever. I'm Lori. I'm a volunteer with the Republican Party of Tulsa County. Do you have a moment to answer a few quick questions? And that's a suggested, script. But if you're nervous, sometimes it's hard to find your words, so we've got you covered. And we'll have our actual script that we're going to be sending you out to be a little bit more detailed than this. But basically, it's this, would you like to take just a little 3-question survey? And if they say, yeah, great, click on survey and we'll go to those survey questions. But they may not have time. They may not be the right person. They may just decide they just want your literature only, and that's fine. And we have all those dispositions here. We have survey you can go to and do that whole process. They can just flat out refuse. The voters maybe not in the home. Maybe they've moved and our database hasn't been updated. There's been a lot of real estate turnover in Tulsa County lately. You all noticed that? Yeah. So they may not be there any longer, and that's fine. But we need to know that. We need to know that so we can update our records. So put down refused. They may have passed away. The door may be unreachable, and that one comes up an awful lot in gated communities. In a gated community, you can't reach the door. It may be inaccessible. I was walking some doors someplace over around 81st and Yale area, and there's some of those steep it's like, it is 110 degrees out here, and that's half a mile straight up. Yeah, that's unreachable. I'm just being honest. So it may be unreachable. You may send the literature, or say that you just left literature only. Maybe they're not home. They'd like to opt out. There's some people who just want to opt out. I know I have a no soliciting sign, we'll talk about that in a second, on my front door because I have a father with dementia. I don't want solicitors knocking on my door because I don't want my dad to open the door and then escape. So there can be issues like that where they may say, I know that I'm a Republican. It's great that you have information, but please don't come knock on my door anymore. I have reasons. They don't have to tell you the reasons. They just want to opt out. And the mark is voted is if there's an actual election that we're working with. Right now, we're just working at getting acquainted. On the solicitation thing, how many of you have been told you can't knock on my door as a political campaign because I have a no solicitation? That applies to salespeople. Okay, you're not selling anything. So we are informing our fellow voters. We are providing them information. So technically, the no solicitation, even the HOAs that want to drive you out of there with a stick and say, we're a no solicitation HOA. I know, Becky said she's been chased out of HOAs, but it's like, we're no solicitation. We are not soliciting. We are providing voter information. This is true American government in process. We're being good Americans and helping inform our not constituents, but our fellow voters. And so the no soliciting doesn't really apply to us when we are just doing a survey such as this, or campaigning for a candidate, or for some type of election that's coming up. So we get in, let's say that our person here decides they want to take our survey. Come on, PowerPoint, catch up with me. They're going to take the survey. It would bring up for you, the sample surveys will be here. I don't think we're probably going to have more than one survey loaded for you at a time. That could get very confusing. So you'll just click on the survey that you want to go to, and then it will come up with the questions. The questions will have various answers. We might have questions that are just a yes or no. It might be, who do you support? And we give the names of the candidates running. It might be, how would you like to be involved? And they can choose multiple options. And it might even be a free-form survey response where they can just, you can capture their information, their response to it. This first one, we're going to keep it very, very simple. Because we're going to be focused on, what were the two races that Ronda wants us to focus on? School board and city council. Oh, you guys are good. You're getting it. I love it. Work the plan. So school board and city council, that's what our first question is going to be about. It's going to be about what's going on in our schools. Something we haven't necessarily defined it, but something along the lines of, are you okay with boys using girls' locker rooms? Do you think that's going to be a question people will probably want to weigh in on? Is it necessarily a polarizing question? Is it a question that is it shouldn't be politically charged, but I guess it is politically charged. But it's something to open the conversation. I think the one that they were using in the survey in Oklahoma City was along the same lines. Do you think that boys should compete in girls' sports? Same thing, because these are all things you see what we're doing. We're kind of tilling the ground to get it ready for people to be aware of the school board races that are coming up. These are things that are happening in our schools. They are doing things like this to our children. They're imposing these things on our children. And if we want things to change, we need to change the school board. We change the school board, we change the school superintendent. We change the school board and the superintendent, we change the curriculum. We change the curriculum and we start actually teaching American history again. So that's what this first survey is, just to open the conversation with people. And so you would go through there, you would ask the question, you'd select their response to it. After completing the survey, This is a screen that's going to pop up for you over here, and it's going to say, would you like to provide us with some more of your information? We obviously have your name and address and that you're a registered Republican, but would you like to update us with your email? Oh, that'd be great. How about your cell number? Because there's a lot of opportunities we have to text people information. You know, text is easy. Has anybody gotten a text from President Trump? Anybody? I know, right? Yeah, we won't be doing that, okay? We're not going to push that many texts out. But the more information that we can have with these folks, the more points of contact. Now, this is a little bit of a sales technique. The more points of contact that you can have with a person, the more likely you are to build a relationship with them and to have impact on them, have an influence on them. And so we just want to be able to be in contact with these folks. And honestly, if they're out there and they're as frustrated as we have been over some of these things, they're like, I don't know who to talk to. Calling the GOP office is scary. But, oh, you're my neighbor down the street. I can talk to you. I can give you a phone call. Yeah, take my phone number. Take my email. Let me know what's coming up. I think that there will be people very, very happy that you knocked on their door and that you started the conversation, that you reached out to them. Because sometimes people just need to be reached out to and just asked a question. Yes?
Does the app prioritize, for example, if you voted in a runoff, a Republican runoff, that means you're a real Republican.
Yeah.
And if you only vote every 4 years for president, that
Yes.
means you're a lukewarm.
So the question is basically, does it prioritize the voters? Does it kind of identify who are the active voters, who are the inactive voters, who only votes in a presidential campaign, who votes on every school board, every city council, every county commissioner, every time there's a vote? It's like every time the church doors are open, they're there. Every time the ballot box is activated, they're there. Yes,
So
it does that.
And can you manipulate it so you say, for the next month, I want to concentrate only on the people who vote in primaries?
On this walk list, we've tried to prioritize it on the more active voters.
Activeness defined by?
We didn't drill down that much
Okay.
this time, but we do have that capability. So depending on which 3s and 4s, basically 3s and 4s on if you're familiar with that they're pretty active voters. They're pretty active. Joseph in the back.
Just for Ken, it's the voter score, I think, what you're referring to.
Yes.
So if you look at the support file, it'll tell you what the voter score is.
Right.
And then filtered according
Yeah.
to.
So, and this is something you can go in there and play around with when you get access and you go in there, play around with it. Search yourself. I'll show you how you can do that on the screen here in a second. You can actually search for your voter information and kind of see, because you know you, and so you'll know kind of what's in there. Right, you can fill in your information. So capture as much information as you can. Once you finish up with it, then you're going to go ahead and hit the show hide map, and it's going to take you back over here, and you can see that Donna Jones, in my example, she now has a green mark next to her name because now I know that I've contacted her, I've gotten her responses. I don't have to go knock her door again. So when I go back to my map, I can see a green spot on her address, and we're good to go there. Yes?
Again, is that personalized so that I will know I contacted these 11 people with green dots?
That you are the one who contacted them, Ronda?
In other words, if I wanted to follow up with them, is there a way to do that within the app?
That I don't know. We're not that well versed in it. That's a great question. But what it can do, the voters that you are assigned won't be assigned to anybody else. So that's going to be that. So because what we've done to break it down, to make it as simple as we can, because like Lori said, like in my precinct, if I did all of them, it's like 900 and some odd voters, So that's overwhelming. It's overwhelming when there's an elephant and they tell you got to eat it, but how do we eat the elephant is one bite at a time. So we broke it down into 50s. And so when you receive a precinct walk list, we'll probably issue 2 at a time. So that's 100 voters that you can potentially, get out and do. And once you're done with those, then we'll give you more. So yes, you're going to know that that's where you went, but the voter data is going to come in, and it'll be available for anybody that walks that list in a different way next time. Does that make sense?
And some of this, I mean, voter gravity is new to us too. So we're learning it a little bit as we go along. But this first step out into the field with it is going to be a get introduced to it yourself, get comfortable with it. Simple survey, just getting acquainted, and we're doing our best to break these voters lists, the walk list, down to something that is manageable. We don't want you to be overwhelmed. We want everybody to be motivated and activated to get out there and work the list so that we can get folks involved. Yes, ma'am.
When I had it before, we were chairman before,
Okay.
we got the list and we called. We called to inquire, are you going to be voting, da-da-da-da, and going through this same thing on the telephone. Is that possible?
We'll be doing later when we get closer to doing campaigns, and actually when the campaigns are actually up and going, probably in December, we have the ability to do the phone calls again, and so that will be part of this as well. So we'll be able to disposition in here for phone calls as well, and have their phone information. This time we just thought that it'd be good to do this boots on the ground, get out to meet people face to face. I go back to that conversation I had with the neighbors I've known for 15 years at the back fence. I mean, that was an eye opener. It was a real eye opener. Question over here on the far side of the room. Okay.
And we have long roads.
Okay, so rural, you're asking in rural areas?
I was not planning to walk.
Well, drive. You can drive. We want you all to get your steps in.
But people really don't appreciate people driving up their driveway and going through their gate.
Well, and those would be the ones that I would disposition that the door's not available.
I would say 75% of my whole precinct has a gated driveway.
Okay.
To keep dogs,
Sure.
cows, horses.
Sure. Oh yeah. cattle catcher at the gate, right? And with situations like that, we're going to have to do some fine tuning on these. Okay? And so if they are rural, we may need to look at some other options rather than doing a door knock.
So the problem with that is, with a lot of the voter data that we have, we do not get phone numbers. If you'll recall, when you fill out a voter registration form, nowhere does it ask you for your phone number or your email address. That's kind of what we're doing now, is we're going to go and we're looking for their email addresses and their phone numbers so that we can ultimately make phone calls to them. So that's kind of the problem with the rural area. And so you may be able to just leave literature. If they have a place, you can just leave literature at their mailbox or at their gate. But not inside the mailbox.
Right, not inside.
What's that?
No, that's not.
I know, but there's not. Can I just get you to move into the city? I can fix all your problems real quick.
Well, before this meeting, my plan was to make a postcard.
And you can do that.
mail everybody a really concise little thing about me.
Sure.
And if you would like to contact me, please call me or email me. And that's kind of how I was going to.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can put a bag out there, but you can definitely do that. You can create a postcard and do that, whatever means, and then you can also put that in there. That instead of maybe left literature, we know that for you mailed them a postcard, so there wasn't that actual physical contact. Holly, did you get your prize? You want a prize? Hang on.
Come up and see us. And so we'll get to these questions in just 1 second. So to the point of if you're in a rural area like that, you can still use voter gravity to find the addresses and the names to do your postcards. And there is a place where when you do the disposition, did they take the survey or could you not reach the door? You can put notes in there about what you did or didn't do. So we hope that you'll still continue to use voter gravity, even if it's from the convenience of your own home, rather than out at the doors. because we want this to work for you. We want it to be your resource tool to reach out and contact people, and then build the network for here in the county, so that whoever steps into your role later, they have good information at their fingertips. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. I don't like reinventing the wheel. And so we're hoping that this will really capture the information so that we know, when the big elections come up, we've already made those contacts. We know the folks. They know us. Let's go over here and we'll come back in a second.
Does this application provide a security feature? Because there's a lot of people that are reluctant to give their email addresses and phone numbers. So I was just wondering.
Like I said, it's secure in that it only is coming here to Tulsa County GOP. It's not going anywhere else. So it's about as secure as you can get.
I just, back to the solicitation thing, I think in light of the Biden regime's door-to-door,
Yeah.
you're going to start seeing a lot of no trespassing signs, and people are not going to want anybody at their door.
And let's make note of that, because we need to know these things about these folks, and then we can reach out to them, like she said, with maybe a card after the fact, and do it that way. So I think that's going to be important information to know. And you know what, that might prompt us with another survey question at a later date that we get out to people some way to find out, how would you like to be contacted? Yeah, let's get here, and then I promise we'll come over here.
Okay. So I just want to disagree with that just for a minute, because I'm in the process of starting a Western Tulsa County GOP, and I have been totally amazed at the people who have been non-respondent in the past, totally panicked and please talk to me today.
Oh, good.
So, yes, we are in a very volatile time. We got another stupid variant or whatever it is they're going to do. And there might be more masks. I don't know. But this is the time to talk to people. This is the time to get them involved.
Yeah.
And this, they're ready, and this is the time.
Good word. Good word. Question up here?
I think what she's talking about is the vaccine
Yeah.
thing, the door knocking on the vaccine,
Right.
because I know that's concerning to me, and I know a lot of Republicans are like, I don't want you coming and asking me personal health information. That's really none of
and
your
that's-
business.
This is one of the reasons, someplace in this packet, in your packets, you should find besides a dozen constitutions, there is a badge for you to wear, and I know that, badges are kind of weird. Make this prominent on your person when you're out there going to the door, so that they know that you are not with the health department, you're with Tulsa GOP. Because I know I don't want these vaccine Nazis coming to my door, but I'd be happy to talk to a fellow Republican coming to talk to me. So I think it's how we present ourselves. So be sure that don't lose this. If you do, let us know. We'll get you another one. And we've got about 15 minutes.
Yeah,
We don't have 2
that's
minutes to
what
go
I
through.
wanted to, we're going to move on from this, but what I want you to know is that we will create a postcard that we can send out, and it will be on the website. And that way you can use it, same way we talked about doing the same thing for business cards. That way we're all sending out the same message. And so, but we want to hurry up and get through this real quick.
Yeah, let me. Okay, one more question, then we'll.
Okay, so it wasn't a question, it was just a real quick encouragement, because I actually door knock for work. So you'll have some people that just won't see you.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But you will get into some person's door. You will, be encouraged, don't be afraid. The people that tell you no, it's a ratio. For every 10 people you knock on, 3 people may actually let you in. And 1 person, will actually give you the business, or, so.
Yeah, and really talk with you. So these are just the statuses that you'll see next to people's names after you've spoken with them. You've got survey complete, they refuse, they're deceased, not home, that type of thing. So this is just a cheat sheet for what those statuses mean when you see them next to a person's name. There's some other options that we can use this for. Those of you who will be at the fair, working the fair booth, we'd like to use what's called the rally function here. And with the rally, it's a way that we can disposition people and capture their information there at the fair. And you can put in there, you can search over here on the screen, there's a little search icon. You can go into the search and put their name in, and then that's where we can also capture their phone number, their email. If they want to stay informed, this is where we do it. And again, it's giving us that information real-time live into our database. One-stop shopping for all of this. Basic navigation. Lori learned some new navigation stuff with this because I kept hitting the wrong buttons. So I want you to learn from my mistakes. When you're in the screen, navigate back and forth using the icons up here at the top. You've got just your regular back button, home button to take you to the home page in Voter Gravity, and then you've got your show and hide the map. If you use your phone's navigation buttons at the bottom of the screen, it will take you out of Voter Mobi and you have to go and log back in again. After you do it the third time like I did, you won't do it anymore. So I share that with you, learn from my mistakes. And all that's, again, this will be an email that we'll send to you with all of these slides. Voter Gravity can be used offline. We were talking about this during the break. If you're in an area that does not have good cell coverage, if you're someplace where maybe you want to use this on your tablet and your tablet isn't hooked up to your cell service, you only use it on Wi-Fi, you can do that. As long as you have downloaded your walk list when you are online, then you can save those to your phone and you can go into and have Voter Mobi opened up. You can go in there and access your walk list offline. They will capture the data on your phone, and when you then reconnect to the internet via cell or via Wi-Fi, that data will then, there's a button on there to say send. And it's right there, it would say send, and it'll even tell you how many records you have that need to be uploaded. So if you have a 0 there, that means on send, it means everything's been uploaded, you're good to go. This example shows 5. They have 5 records that they've captured, they haven't been uploaded. So when this person gets back on their Wi-Fi or on the internet through their cell service, they need to hit send so that those records are uploaded. So always be sure you check that at the end of your canvassing that day and make sure that everything gets loaded back up to the cloud. Well, to the database, not really the cloud. So your offline walk lists are here. Remember to send them. We talked about that. There's your send button with the 5. That's kind of it for Voter Gravity. Like I said, we are learning this alongside with you. We're doing baby steps. This first survey is going to be a real friendly, simple, easy one. Just got a few more minutes. I think rather than doing the role play round, let's just take any last questions that folks have. Any other questions that we have? Let's get right here in the back, and then we'll come up here to Peggy.
I have a question regarding when you get together with your community. Mm-hmm. Now, when you do that, is there like a treasury for like meet and greet if you purchase any items, or how does that work? Can you have like donations from your community to host these different types of events? How does this work?
If the precinct wants, that's why you have a precinct treasurer. So if the precinct wants to have a fund, you could set it up very like a petty cash type thing. People just want to reimburse you. You can do that within your precinct. I don't know what the reporting rules on that.
Yeah, well,
there are no.
You can try and raise money for these events, but you don't want it to be a big event. You don't even want to. When you do a meet and greet, at the most I would say you have coffee, water, and cookies. Unless you're wanting to do something bigger, but you're not gonna. There's no place for you to be able to turn receipts in to be able to be reimbursed. Is what I'm trying to say. So it's gonna kind of by the county. As an individual, if you choose to spend that money, you can, and then you can also have a donation jar out there that can go towards the cost of covering that event. So, but typically, if you take up money within the precinct, that is for the county party for that purpose. But you can put a donation jar out there to help cover the expenses. Does that answer your question? Okay.
All right. Cool. Another question?
I'm coming. I'm on my way.
Oh.
Jane. Talking about money. Mm-hmm. What about this change thing?
Okay, so the change for change is going to the Tulsa County GOP, and that's going to be used to fund some of the efforts with flipping the school board and flipping the city council. So this is all going to the county coffers for those local races. Sure, you can collect as much change for this as possible. We're not opposed to donations.
Hey, just remember, all the clubs have them, so everybody's going to be fighting for your change.
So pick your winners early, folks. Peggy?
When I logged in, my voter list isn't there.
Yeah, we don't have them all loaded quite
Okay.
yet. We'll be getting the voter list out to you very soon. Joseph in the back, come on up.
So this is more than just a comment, is if you have access, update your voter gravity information.
Right.
If you update your own, what you'll start seeing is how it actually works for the
Yes.
system for other folks. Because mine is completely off and I don't have a phone number. It says that I'm a Muslim. It says like all this crazy stuff. So if you do get the log in, update your own information, and it'll make sense as you're walking what you can do. So, oh, and one other thing is that, so what I do day to day is data. The big thing about canvassing is that we don't care about the roadblocks. So if you get a roadblock and you can't do something, it's important to have the data to know, because then we create strategies from what we need to improve. So there's nothing good or bad about your situation. And we're using software that we're not the first people to use voter gravity. So if you have a problem, you're not the first person, and we can find a solution. So we have great support with voter gravity. So I just wanted to say that.
All data is good data because it can be used one way or another.
Hi, I don't know how many of you all, this is kind of off topic, but how many of you all have seen Mike Lindell's documentaries?
Right.
And does everyone know about Dr. Frank and his analysis? I've done that analysis for the top 6 counties in Tulsa, if anybody wants to see it.
Top counties in Oklahoma or
The
top precincts?
The top 6 counties, so Oklahoma, Tulsa,
Okay. Top six
the top
counties
6 by population.
in Oklahoma.
So
Okay.
I've got that data if you want to see it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for
Can you
moving.
give us just an elevator talk of what that is?
Sure. So Dr. Frank took the voter registration of all the counties, and he did graphs based on the number of people registered by age in the county, and then he did another graph with the number of voters by that age, and the 2 lines are identical in Tulsa County. Well, in the top 6 counties, they're identical, with the exception of Cleveland County, where there's something wonky with the 18 to 22-year-olds because they weren't on campus in the fall, I don't think.
So kind of a synopsis of the voter.
The other thing that I want to tell you, I want to piggyback onto what Joseph said. You can also go in there and start looking up your friends. So if you look up your friends, you can go in, you can put their phone number, you can put their email address. You know, if there's anything that needs to be corrected, you can do that at that time. So this is one way that we can go ahead and get started, and it makes you a little bit more familiar with the program.
How it works.
And how it works. So are there anything else? Yeah. Bill, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. No, sir. No.
All right. I want to
Okay.
thank everybody for being
Thank
here. If
you.
you have feedback on the training, we'd love to hear it. Send us an email, and we will be available for questions afterwards. Let's give Ronda a big round of applause,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.